Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Premium Tier Futures Sunday recap, and we're just going to be going over some of the trades that we took and kind of assessing some things on the DOM and various other things on the chart. Uh, I'm Jeremy Clark. You can find me at Phils Jackson on X, and here with Eli Debler. You can find him at Debler Eli on X or at Premium FTS on X as well. And we're just going to kick things off. I've been experimenting with value. Sorry, Eli, is there anything you want to add before we get going here?
No, yeah, that sounded great. Yeah,
Okay,
we'll just
cool.
be hanging out and yeah, anyone who's interested, just come join the Discord. I like talking markets anytime.
Yeah, just something we do once or twice a week. Um, so I've been learning this method of, just taking a couple ticks profit, 2 to 5 ticks, and basically using, a profit target at the most recent value. And so one of the sort of hacks that's been helping me, I opened up a 16-minute volume profile, and right now I have XRP just because it's potentially live. So this is Ripple. I thought it might be cool just to show you like a live ticker. And what I'm looking at is these purple VPOCs on the 16-minute profile. And the reason I'm using the 16-minute is just because it kind of works. Price tends to, maybe I should be on the 15-minute, maybe I should be on a 10-minute, I don't know. But a lot of times the 16-minute just works for me. And this is on a 30-second chart. So 16-minute profile, 30-second chart. And I'm just looking at the VPOC where, you know, in this instance right here, you're going to see, price went up, and then in a kind of choppy sideways market, it's always going to come back to value. So, we might be trying to play a breakout here and it just turns around and whips right back down to value, which is that purple line. And so you can see value was just kind of going up and up and up slightly, but kind of in the same general zone. And then when it dropped, the first drop was right here. And let's just scroll back and look where it dropped to. Exactly a previous value area, previous VPOC. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so then it dropped again, went through this one, and you can see there was a little it tested it right here, and then
Hmm.
it tested it again. There was a little bit of a like a low volume thing that happened as it blew through it. And then the next level here blew right through. And if I scroll back far enough, probably find another area of value that matches this one. This could be new, or this could be like a pivot or something. But a lot
So
of
I
times
do. No, go ahead.
uh, what I was just gonna say is, so like if I was playing real small and tight, um, I'd be trying to kind of play inside these windows, inside the value areas, and aiming for the VPOCs, like on a reversion style trade.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. I do something similar on the daily chart using the daily, the full session POC. And
yeah,
so I put in previous POCs as kind of like a target, but it's always been like a kind of a crapshoot as to which one it's gonna hit. Like in that uptrend, if you start dropping, like would you just use the closest one, or would you? Uh, yeah, how do you do that part?
okay. So you're on the daily chart, right?
Yeah,
So you're using
yeah. So
previous daily um, points of control.
yeah,
Um, yeah, how do you pick which one? Um, I think the best answer to that would be the closest one. And
uh,
um,
yeah.
and if there's a slight uptrend, you know, um, you might play towards the closest one. You kind of have to watch for those mini breakouts, or those breakouts where like volume comes in and it actually pushes out. because a lot of times those will fake you out. So like what I'd actually be doing is playing to the same one, if that makes sense. So let me just show you what I mean. So like let's just pretend that this volume profile right here is the daily. I would be waiting for price to come up here to like value area high, and
Mm.
then I would be playing it back down to this, to the
Okay,
point of
so
control.
before
Yeah.
the thing before it fully closes the whole.
Yeah. So rather than playing a breakout, I would be playing inside the profile itself. Um, and I think that what we're kind of talking about is actually like a breakout where it goes from this point of control to this next point of control. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. And then how to, but I think the same kind of rule applies. Is like if it does break out, you're going to look for that low volume area and aim for the next highest one. And even if it goes past it, I mean, that's going to be your most probable target, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
okay. Yeah, makes sense. How about another question then? How about do you consider like how long it's been since so if the closest POC that you have was actually formed like 10 sessions ago, does that change it being as a target?
yes, it can. Um, one of the things that they look for, or that I look for, is if it's been touched previously, right? The more times it's been touched, the less likely that there's leftover liquidity there.
Okay.
So, you look for those, they call them like virgin ones or untouched ones, where price, consolidated there, then it left the area, and then eventually it comes back to it, but it hasn't been tested yet. So um, that's usually what I would look for in that.
Okay. Hey, Nigel.
Yeah, I think we see Nigel in here.
What's up, Eli? How you
What's up?
Doing good.
doing? What's up, Jeremy?
How you doing, man? Um, yeah, so we're just going over using the VPOC as a target on various time frame volume profiles. Another thing I would add um, to your question, Eli, about you know which one do you target? Um,
Mm,
if there is another level in the way, like IB, for example, um, or VWAP, or a VWAP deviation, a lot of times it'll make a run for that next VPOC, and it'll only make it as far as the VWAP deviation, or the next level, which could be IB high, like right here, something like that. So that's one thing I'm really
okay.
wary for, is like you see price break out and take off, but there's like a pivot in the way. It's
Hey,
probably gonna.
Jeremy, I think we lost you.
Oh, okay. How about now? Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, in and out. I was just saying, if there's a pivot in the way, um, it price may not get all the way to your next VPOC.
Okay,
So that's
sure.
something to watch out for. And pivots could be anything from the IB range to, the value area, um, VPOCs, cams, floor pivots. All of those things can cause, little speed bumps on the way.
So would you just kind of trade through then and just kind of keep an eye out to see if any volumes coming in?
Like if I saw a good volume push, and, um, like let's say right here, this is a good example. This volume profile here, this little VPOC, and then I saw this volume come in. You can see that right there. And, you know, I wanted to aim for this next highest VPOC, but this, IB range was in the way. If I had caught it right here at the point where it took off, I would just play that for a few ticks from the VPOC to the IB high. And then,
Okay.
and you'll notice how it like dipped back down twice really hard. Um, and then I might play the IB to the VPOC, you know. So taking just these little level to level jumps.
Sure.
instead of trying to, start here and land here.
Hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah. Cool. Any other questions or anything you want to add to that?
No, I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, cool. Well, if you have your trade video um, queued up, we could take a look at that.
Sure.
Oh, coffee.
Yeah, you're just waking up, huh?
Yeah, I had a late one. I was at the gym until like 1 a.m.
That's a late session.
Yeah, usually I do the gym on Sundays, but I was thinking I could get it out of the way and then have
Uh,
my afternoon free.
well, I got this thing queued up
Okay, cool.
whenever you're ready.
Let's just pull that up. Yeah, that's ready to, it looks like that's up, ready to go.
Okay, so this was a breakout that I was going for. It was really just a scalp. So um, I've been trying to use just the DOM more and more, and so technically this, I mean, it doesn't look great on the candlestick chart, but I use that less and less now.
Yeah, same here.
So what I was looking at was this volume profile, where my cursor is on the recording there.
Okay.
Is kind of where I'm expecting it to pull back to.
So
So I'll
you're
start
looking at
this.
the session volume profile or the cumulative on the DOM?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, right there on the DOM. Yeah,
And you're gonna go
and
short?
long to
You're
go
gonna go
for
long.
the
Okay.
continuation.
Okay.
So there's a lot of volume just continuing to come in on the buy side.
Yeah.
You can see on the Vista that we pulled back kind of in this area a couple
Hmm.
of times, and I think my first entry was probably a little bit premature, but so
So you
I entered there.
tried to catch the low right there.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I thought it was going to continue from there, but you can see on the last traded quantity. I'm going to go back a second.
Okay.
There was never any large buyers hitting in. You can see more limits kind of coming in below. We had this 199 that's right there popped up,
Yeah, I see that.
but not much hitting. There was 10 contracts, 3, the rest are singles, and it kind of ticks up a little bit. Uh, so rewatching this, I think I could have waited, but in the moment, hard to know.
Yeah. Uh, well, if you roll it back to the start again, there's a couple things that I noticed. That's the start right there?
Yeah,
Okay. So the first thing I noticed here is you've got this big block of liquidity on right around 55.45 on the Vista.
yeah,
So you'd be, if you went long there, and you can see it actually rejected twice, once there and right there. But if you went long there, you would actually be buying into resistance, um, which
right.
is, a lot of times that'll break, so it's really hard to know when it's going to break or if it's going to break. Um, but so I noticed, that you it created these two liquidity voids right at 44.50 and then about 43.75. So price was getting pushed through that area pretty quickly, and there was this one right below it. So just at first glance, because the upper liquidity voids were just created due to momentum, and this lower liquidity void hadn't filled yet because it's a previous one. That right there tells me, that it hasn't hit bottom yet, and that there might be some, sellers coming in. And then
Yeah.
the other thing, you know, looking over here, is that a 1236 on the market fill column? Oh no, that's a 236. And then that's
Yeah,
that's
236, and
the
there's a
last traded
single.
quantity. A
Yeah.
single quantity got traded there. Um, so the thing I noticed right here was like at 55.44, there was that 392 sellers came in. There was 232 buyers up above and 497. So that's your absorption right there, is that 497 followed by that 232. So you would have needed to have more buyers coming in. That's
So
fair.
I'm expecting it to pull back a bit. My original expectation was it to pull back to that 541.50 area where my
541.50.
where my
And
cursor is.
okay, and then you were gonna try to go long there or go short.
Go long.
Okay, so you're gonna basically play 541.50 back up to, you know, maybe one of these liquidity voids or to that level
Potentially
there.
to break through. I want it to completely go through that block. So
Gotcha.
I saw it reject a few times, and I saw the big pocket there at 45, but the amount of buyers that were still coming in here had me thinking that it was gonna push through. That was the whole plan anyway.
Yeah. Well, and just looking at the market fills, you can see there was a lot of buyers, almost more buyers than sellers. I mean, maybe the sellers were coming in larger, but
There's definitely some big ones coming in here.
yeah. Look on the delta right here. You got this 954 right at 43.25.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
And then right under there's a 1066 buyer. So that's kind of interesting. There's this back and forth happening. The first one would have been potentially where the buyers were getting absorbed. And then the second one would have been where the sellers kind of kicked in. This is just something I was watching the Axia futures video last night on footprint charts, and they kind of described this scenario where you get a buyer absorption and then it flips to like sellers. And this could be just very much on the lower time frame. This might just be playing in this range right here from, IB high to the most recent point of control, which is 55.42 or 41.75. So it's tough to say.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps you at all, because I think I would have been a little confused here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to review it. It's always. I mean, every time I review these, I see more and more that I wouldn't have seen.
Yeah, because my approach right now, the thing I'd be focusing on would actually be shorting back down to 41.75 or even just 42 and trying to catch a couple ticks if it were, a sideways day. You'll notice that little block of liquidity right there at 41.50 just acted as support. So we hit 42 and 41.75, and that's that little high point on the VPOC.
Yeah, so I moved my stop below that little pocket.
Okay. So are you actually in a trade right now?
Yeah, I entered there.
I see. Okay, so we can see the stop, but we don't see the
It's there 43.25. The long. That's
I
where
see
I.
it. Okay, that's where the little blue thing is right there.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
yeah. So
Okay,
I
that's
entered there.
that's what was
Uh,
confusing me because I wasn't seeing your entry, so I wasn't sure if you were going short or long.
okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and see we just came right back to that VPOC again, 41.75. And it looks like it's trying to build one at 42.50. And there's a little low volume chunk right there. So that's either going to act as support or resistance. If it holds, it would go up. If it doesn't hold, it'll come down.
So I just got ticked out there.
Yeah.
It hit. That stop placement is not very good either. And I think reviewing this, it's right at the low of that initial kind of pullback there at 41.25.
41.25. Yeah, that little low point.
Yeah, on the Vista. And a lot of times I see that too, where it kind of will push through the node just for a minute and then
Yeah,
catch
totally.
back up.
So if you were, let's say if you had a lot of conviction to go long here, maybe your stop could have been as low as 55.40, 50, or 40.75 just to get away from that little low volume node. Because this should
Yeah.
act as support if it's going to turn around. I don't know. Did you follow any more on this video? Does it go past that point?
Yeah, it doesn't. I actually re-enter here. So that was my initial entry.
Okay.
And then, so it catches 18 contracts trade right there where my stop was, which kind of sucks. And then I re-enter right as the buyers come back in
Got it.
and move the stop. Got my stop lower on this one too. So better placement.
I've gotten caught in these so many times and done the exact same thing where you see the move, but you're a little early to it, and then you get stopped out on a pullback, and then it goes and
Yeah.
just does the exact move that you anticipated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like we're testing that liquidity again.
Yeah, they're defending to get some sellers coming in, but there's still a lot of orders coming in on the buy side.
Do you remember
And
what
they're
day?
there.
Do you remember what day this was?
The 15th. So that was Thursday.
Thursday. So Thursday was that low volume trend day. We kept getting all those pullbacks.
So Sue might be onto something. You said Tuesdays are always like a trend. So
Nigel, your volume's a little low today. Last week it was too high. Now it's too low.
Let's see. I think it's on match right now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Okay. I just gotta speak closer to the mic. Sue was saying that Tuesdays is usually a trend day, so I put a sticky note on my monitor. It's looking like that's true. Past couple of Tuesdays we have a trend day.
I think you're saying that about Thursday being a trend day.
You still not hearing me?
Yeah, it was a little low.
Let me see if I can make some adjustments here.
Okay.
That's actually the longest I could go.
Okay, that sounds a little better.
So did you hear what I said about Thursdays? Sue said that Thursdays are usually trend days. So I kind of made it for my notes. It's looking like it's true. I think the past couple of Thursdays we had trend days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think our user NQ Don has mentioned that.
I remember Sue was saying it in the chat, so I was keeping a lookout and yes, it's looking like it's true. Maybe that could be a entry. So
Yeah,
Thursdays for the runway.
it's usually either a Thursday or a Friday. And lately it does seem to be Thursdays.
No, Fridays are kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sometimes I think on Friday they just go home. There's not as much participation.
So Gemini, this chart on the left, that's bookmap.
It's Jigsaw. So it's the
Oh,
same
that's
same
it.
kind of setup though.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's a heat map. And you notice we've got these arbitrage orders controlling price or following price, I should say.
Yeah,
Yeah, they've been a
yeah.
lot thinner, kind of more spaced out past few days.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so curious what causes that and if they are going to go away at some point, if it's just current conditions, you know.
Really, I think the guy from Bookmap, his name is Bruce. He does like those videos like during the week where he just breaks down how to use Bookmap and order flow. He said something that was, it sounds like it makes sense. The reason why they're staying in the book like that is because they get first fill. When they keep themselves in the book like that, they jump to the front of the line.
Yeah.
So when price comes to them, they get filled first if they
Uh,
want to get.
I've heard of that before. That does make sense.
That made the most sense to me. So once they stay in the book, everybody else is going to come in behind them. If you place a market order or something like that, I guess,
So it's about
like you would still be. I
yeah,
mean,
it's about getting that prime Q position.
right.
Yeah, that makes
What?
sense.
Still insane to me how that's legal.
I don't think it's legal though because you're still moving your orders around. I'm sorry. It might be by a few ticks, a few points, but you're still moving your order too much for that to be legal.
Yeah, and even just jumping the queue too. It seems like that's could be wildly unfair.
Yeah,
Well,
to say the least.
you could you could jump the queue like if you see something before someone else, and let's say they are not in the order book all the time, but then you jump in just before you see something happening, and then maybe you move up a little bit. I think that would be legal. But to keep moving around like this, I think that's where the breach of laws get taken into consideration. But like you can't move around like this. This is something everybody knows. You can't pull big orders off the book like. But
Right,
big money is legal.
if it's a no intention to fill type of
Right,
situation.
right, yeah.
Um, Last week we were watching one of Eli's videos and one of these one of these white blocks of liquidity did actually jump up to meet price at the last second. We caught it on the video where it was sort of down here and price was coming down to it, and it actually jumped up ahead and got a fill. But it was part of this,
So
you know.
maybe maybe
I'm
they'll
still on the fence as to whether it was those same orders. I think
It
it
could have
was
been
really
someone else coming in. I was gauging off, because you see we've got these three blocks of liquidity, right? And I see that a lot, like right at the end where price is happening. And then down here you've got one, two, three of these large blocks, and that's what I see moving around is these three blocks at a time.
uh,
It brings up another idea that I have though. So when I'm watching the quotes counter in Bookmap, um, I'll just give you an example. At this big level of liquidity right here, 55.45, that big white block.
we lost you again, Jeremy. If you can
Oh,
hear me.
okay. Yeah, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Test,
Okay, yeah.
test, test, test. Okay, so, um, I'm just gonna check something here. Okay, we're on the right internet. So, when you see one of these big blocks of liquidity, this is an iceberg, right? Or it could be. When I'm looking at the quotes counter in Bookmap, I'll see, previously there was just a two lot at this level. And each time price comes up to it, you'll see a two lot and a two lot and a two lot. And so what they've done is they've planted this order here. It's an iceberg order that every time it, sells two lots, it refreshes. And then they've got the Q position. So they're completely the first in line on this order. And what that does is it stalls out. If there's any upward price movement into that two lot, which is actually, an iceberg, it's got thousands of two lots behind it. Um, it's going to go two lot, two lot, two lot. It completely slows down price. So even though these could actually be buy orders on the bid side, um, they slow it down so much. So you've got, 100 lot here and 100 lot here going against this two lot, and it's going two lot, two lot, two lot. It just stops price momentum in its tracks, and then it allows them to sell back down onto it. Um, that's something I've seen over and over, and that's why I use the quotes counter and Bookmap so much, is I can spot those. And it
Hmm.
was something I first spotted when I was trading crypto on KuCoin, and I was really into just heavily watching the tape, and I would see like a two lot, two lot, two lot, at a certain level, and then price would reverse. And it would really throw me off because I would see, for example, prices moving up, and then suddenly it hits a round of two lot orders on the bid and it stops. And I'm thinking, well, shouldn't that be continuation? Shouldn't it keep going? But it stalls the momentum out and it gives the sellers a chance to start pushing price back the other way.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I'd be really wary of that with this situation where you've got these bracketed orders above and then you've got this one, big order right here. Um,
I just completely ignore the bracket.
yeah. I would say
Same here. I just ignored them.
the one
What'd
use
you say?
is Nigel said to just ignore them.
Oh,
No, I just said same here. I just ignored them.
Yeah.
okay.
I would say the one use that I find with them is if you zoom out to the higher time frame, you can see if they're kind of on an upward or a downward slope and maybe get a sense of, is price trending or not. But on the lower time frame, it looks horizontal. You guys still hear me? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna pull up one of the videos I took earlier. Let's go ahead and turn the app.
My dad called me a second ago. I'm gonna just step away for just a second. I'll be
Oh,
here though.
cool. Okay, cool.
Still gonna pull it up, or we're gonna wait?
Yeah, I'm just pulling this video up here. Okay, can you see that? Should be over on your left, maybe the one that says live.
I'm on it. I'm on it.
Okay, cool. So this one, these are two DOMs side by side. We're watching, this one's a 2-tick DOM. You can see the 50-cent price increments, and then this one is just the regular 4 ticks. So I watch the 2-tick, but I trade off the 1-tick. And I'm looking for an entry here. I've got my mouse kind of ready to go. And I don't remember exactly what this trade was, so I'm gonna scroll ahead, just find the entry. There it is. So I went long there, and presumably I'd be maybe targeting this just under this low volume node. It's probably where I should have taken profit. You can see I got my mouse there ready to, okay, so I set a take profit at right at that low volume node, which in hindsight, I think I should have been 1 tick in front of it. And I think eventually I end up adding, okay, so I added, we're in 2 lots now. And I think that one might hit. But at a certain point, I get scared and I just add a 1-tick stop loss. And I think it triggers out. So you can see we're hitting this resistance. There's the volume profile, the high point. and it's not really trying to move past it that well. I've got my mouse on the offer just so I can click out at like 3 ticks. Okay, so we got filled
Big stop
there.
loss there.
And then notice I put my stop loss in at this low volume node. This is something we just covered, Eli and I were talking about. And I should have just taken profit here and gotten out for 4 ticks. You can see it's really hugging the high point of the volume profile. It's not going past it. And it's probably going to come back and hit this little low volume node.
Okay, I'm back.
Cool. Did you catch any of that?
No, I didn't. Just the tail end.
Okay, I'm gonna rewind just because it ties into what we were just talking about. So I got long here at 41, and I was looking for it to get continuation up to this low volume node up here on the, this is the just a visual of the order books. And I think I should have had this lower at 42.50 because a lot of times that'll act as resistance if it doesn't go. Now, I just added, so I'm in 2 lots now, and 42 is gonna trigger out. I've got my mouse in place so I can click out at like 3 ticks, 2 ticks. But you'll see it's just hugging this high point of this little volume profile over here. Doesn't really want to go past that. There is like a low volume node right there that might fill if I get lucky. This is kind of just shooting into the wind now. I think I already should have exited this trade. I think I'm holding this for far too long. This one, so it did hit, and I should have exited right there. And instead, I put a 1 tick stop loss at 40.50, and you'll notice what we were talking about, that little low volume node, that's probably going to get tapped, right? So at any time now, I can just take profit and make, 4 to 5 ticks, and I don't. I'm waiting for that continuation, and I should have clicked out, Not even like looking at the limit orders or the numbers or what's happening, like just in terms of time. My assessment of this is I should have gotten out already. And I could have taken 5 ticks, 6 ticks, safely, instead of just holding to get taken out of it. And I think this is like when you're playing on the smaller time frame like this, I think that's one of the toughest things to do is to just recognize when it's time to take profit and get out. And notice I stopped out there for 1 tick, so basically paid for the order, but didn't make any profit on that.
Okay, sure.
We should talk about that a little bit because I usually end up in these situations as well where you're in profit and then it just pays back on you. But what is the criteria for us to say, okay, that's it? Like, we have to have some kind of system because it's like hit and miss sometimes,
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I've been trying to think about what could I do? Is it a signal level if it gets just that starts hesitating, but then you don't want to spoil the trade because
right.
if it goes your way even further, then you're even more upset. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's weird.
I think that one of the things to be really mindful of is like, is it a trend day or is it a sideways day? Because if it's sideways, you should be taking profit like within a few seconds, 30 seconds, etc. But if it's a trend day and you're actually holding, I'm thinking maybe in this situation it was not a trend day and I was trying to hold when I should have been more aggressive getting out. Maybe that could have helped me,
So when do we define when it's a trend day? Because let's say we're starting at the open, boom, the market opens, right?
Yeah.
And price starts moving. Get a good trade, you jump into the trade. You're 5-10 minutes into the open. how do we determine if this is a trendy or not?
Yeah, that's the really hard part, I think,
Yeah.
and I've been looking into figuring out ways to do that too, and yeah, I still don't have a good answer for that either.
From my from what I've read, like with the market profile and the pivot levels, they give you indications of what might happen depending on how the pivots are set up, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't always work out like that. But it gives you a little hint of, okay, maybe this could be a trendy, maybe I'll hold this one. And in different configurations, maybe let me just cut it off. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things I'm looking at right now to kind of reinforce how I'm trading. Is like if I have a overlapping higher value Camarillo setup, right? That's moderately bullish. So I should take profit quickly. Like if we get to anywhere around Camarillo, just take it off.
I see what you're saying.
If it's a if it's a higher value relationship, then when we get up to camp tree and I start seeing something like what's happening in your video,
Hmm.
I'll just leave it to see what plays out.
Yeah.
And then you keep doing that over time, and then the probability would probably be in your favor over time.
Sure.
Possibly. I guess it depends. I
But
always go back.
you're still gonna get upsets here.
Yeah, I always, for a trend day, I always look at like the pivot boss definitions, which is where maybe it pulls back to VWAP in the pre-market and then it just goes. And for me, it needs to stay above the first VWAP deviation. Is usually a good indication that the trend is on. That can always change and fail on you, but generally when it opens really strong and it never goes back to the opening price, that's that's when I look for a trend day. That's one of my criteria.
Think in pivot boss it says too that it's rare that you have two trend days back to back. So you
Yeah.
have a trend day, a typical day, then probably another trend day or something like that. Like they go back and forth. But
Usually
what do you guys notice this past week? Is it all trend days? Are we trending more than usual? Or what do you think about the market right now? Which traded day last week?
well that trend day that we had on Thursday was kind of different because it was a low volume trend day. Um, so I what does that mean? Why wasn't there volume to support? Why weren't more people piling in, more traders piling in on that? Was
I don't
price
think it was. I don't think it was too low volume though. It was a lot lower than like the days leading up to that with the drop and all that. But I thought it was fairly normal.
if I'm remembering,
Um,
it was around 40% on the RVol, like 35 to 40%. Um,
But how many days back does the RVol account for though?
that's a good
'Cause
question. I'd have to look because on TradingView it might just be I don't know what it is. I have to look. That's a really good question. I don't know. Taking a look at that right now. I know on the
so, but
on the Jigsaw, the sheep index, I think I have that set to 10 days.
Okay.
But on TradingView, let's see, the RVol is set to it's kind of like a 20 SMA. So 20, yeah, so I guess it'd be 20 days.
Okay. So it's a decent chunk.
Yeah. But what I noticed,
so
all last
what
week too was looking at the sheep index. Every day the volume was kind of dropping off and dropping off. And then on Thursday it was still dropping off, but it dropped off less than the previous days. So um, a lot of times that's because stops are getting triggered, because if people have protective stops in, they're um, they're not counting as like fresh trades that are moving the market. They're actually counting as trades that are getting out of the market. And so you'll see the RVol actually dropping in situations like that. Um, but to my mind, someone was pushing the price higher. And I think, like we talked about before, they had pushed it out of out of the pullback range, so it was definitely kind of looking more like it was going to go back to the high than fall back. So tough questions.
But looking back at last week on the 5 minute chart, and trying to identify how much trend days we had. So on Tuesday was a trend day. Wednesday was kind of rotational, but more to the upside. Tuesday was a trend day. Then Friday was like a reversal and then a pop up. So it's kind of tricky. Like, all right, looking at Friday, right? When we pull back to around 55.37, just before the open, then we got that pop up. That's where I thought that that they will be going into the open. Done with my day, like as soon as we pop up, right? But we got to go back and then still trended to the upside, but we only came back to overnight. So is that considered a trend day, like within the intraday, like on a 5 minute? If we go back and we start moving back up to the 5 minute, the overnight high, do we consider that a trend day,
So
or is it a big
you're talking about Thursday or you're talking about Friday?
Friday?
That's yeah. I always wonder that too. I mean, if you trend up all day and then roll over and come back to the open, is that at the very end, right before the close?
Yeah,
I
is that a
mean,
trend day?
yeah, it seems like you would trade it like one throughout the day, but could you really call it? I mean, is that a trend day or not?
So I'm looking at the IB 30 high, right? We broke out of that and we pull back to basically the middle of the IB. Then just trended back up to like around overnight.
What
So if we're in
what time frame are you looking at?
Yeah, that's a great
5 minutes,
question. I think that's kind of the key to it.
5 minute chart.
5 minute chart. Okay, so I'm on the 5 minute chart, and so if I scroll over to 6 o'clock here, so 6:30 our time, Pacific time. This would be the open. I'm going to open the VWAP just so I can kind of get a sense of that. So there's the open, that big volume spike right there. So price went up past VWAP, came to value area high, VPOC, and failed, and came back and retested VWAP in the middle. It didn't go all the way back to the first deviation, so I would count this as basically just a VWAP backtest. And then it took off and it never came back to VWAP. So it trended. I usually look when it's in the second deviation, that's what I call a trend. And you can see this is what caught me off, was it was hugging the bottom of the line the whole day. And I was long here and up $800, and then it fell off and I held and I lost all that profit and went back to IB, which is this gray shaded area, but it never went back to VWAP. It's also forming this kind of responsive consolidation right here. I think just off the top of my head, I would call this a trend day, but see the RVOL is 53%, and it was
So
only strong here, and then it got really kind of weak in here, but then it came back. So it's a tough one.
so that's what I'm saying, right? You were holding the trade because you said to yourself, this is a trend day, right?
Right.
But um, how could I say this? If we're on a trend day, they're supposed to be breaking highs, right? But we're only coming back to the overnight high. So is this really like a trend day, like from the open, right? It looks like it's bullish, but we're just basically regaining ground from the overnight session, from that big dip.
I see what you're saying. So, I'm kind of going off of the New York Open, but if you include the whole open, you're right. We only
Yeah.
went to the high of the pre-market or the overnight session right here, and then actually dipped and then came back up to it. So
I think
Yeah.
that's
So
where
this is
I think that's
that's
where
like a
time.
main reversion day.
Sorry, what did you guys say?
Go ahead,
One
man.
minute. Oh, I think it's basically looking like a mini version day because it dipped to the lows and go back to the mean basically. And
Yeah.
it came right back to where on Thursday closed around that area. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and if you consider that these yellow lines are the value area, this is VPOC. So it came, right to the middle and retested it right here. That's the mean of this range, which was the previous day's value area. So yeah, you're right. It's kind of a mean reversion day. It did make a new high, a slight new high. I don't know. I'm not happy with the price action on that day at all.
I really will piss, man. I could tell just by me typing it. Like I'm shutting down. I just gave back all the profits. I know you
Yeah,
will piss.
yeah. I was just done. I had worked so hard and I had held it for so long and it had gone up and then each time I added, it came back on me. And so I kept losing money on my ads. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to hold one contract. And it was dipping below VWAP, and it had done it several times, which is why I decided to hold. So, I had gotten long here and it had, let's see, where did I get long? I got long right here on this pullback to the VWAP deviation. It came up and it dipped back in the trend. So it's still safe. We're in the trend here. And then it had tested it and tested it again and tested it again. And it was still going. So I don't like it when it rides this line underneath it. It needs to be above it. And that's one of my criteria for getting out. So I never knew which one of these pullbacks was going to pull back deeper and past that low. And truthfully, my original stop was in this neighborhood and I could have held and made all that profit back. And I kind of had that sense, but it just was taking too long and it was too much risk and I just didn't know. Um, so it really threw me.
Yeah, I took a loss that day too, a small one. But
Yeah,
yeah, tough.
better a small one than a big one.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say though
Finally,
about
getting it up.
talking about defining the days and stuff. I define, like, I mean, I only trade the first hour and a half, and so when I define my day, it's based off of just that one little block of time. So my trend days are going to be very different from your guys, but uh, that's I just try to look at the one area that I'm trading in and how I can more accurately define that little time frame.
That makes sense. So would you define that as the NYSE session, or would you define that as like the 30-minute time frame or the 5-minute time frame, or
Yeah, the pit open to yeah, hour and a
yeah.
half in.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we've kind of discovered too is that, you know, with futures is open 23 hours, but if you're watching SPX, it's open, from the NYSE open for 6 hours, 6.5 hours. And so that block of time could be a trend day, but then if you look at the whole open from the overnight on the futures, it could be different. So there can be a lot of discrepancies there, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I used to get really into like how did price open in the overnight, but I kind of view them separately now too. Where like there's the overnight session, big dip. Um, this would have been probably a news candle as well. I forget what news we had on Thursday. It might have been unemployment or something. PPI, I don't remember. But then it recovered. So whatever the news that was bad at 5:30, then it recovered, tested it again, and then it took off. Yeah, it just wasn't
This is
ideal.
Friday, right?
This is uh this is I'm looking at Thursday night. Yeah, Thursday to Friday, I guess. Is that right? Yeah, Friday.
I was the way I took my trade just before it opened, I was looking at it like the big trend day on Tuesday. We might get some take profit in the Euro session, and they did do that. And I just assumed that we would continue, buyers would continue this trend. So that's why I entered aggressively at the open just before the open because I got the bold group strategy set up. So I just took it and looked out, and I was in and out. And there's also another thing I wanted to show you guys, but when I share my screen, I'll show you. But there's some central pivots right in this area here where we stopped on Friday. It's the central pivot range. This whole
Are you talking about
consolidation right here.
are you talking about 5580?
Yep, yep, right above it. Let me just because I'm looking at your screen. Just,
Let's see if I can
or
pull that up for you.
no, it's actually the monthly pivots, right?
Oh,
So
okay. So
55.77 is the bottom central. The monthly central is 55.70 and the top central is 55.6425. So I was looking at it like the price came and entered that range on Tuesday. That's when we started to get like, I think like the bigger players they interact at these levels on these higher time frames. So that's
for
why I
sure.
think we got this big taking profit share that just did the ETH.
Sorry, at what number?
No, I was saying that that's why I think they took profit and we had that big dip in the ETH. Then we just started buying off of the daily Camellia S3 and Central Pivot, which was at
Yeah.
55.37.
Okay.
That's where
I
I decided to just
So I have
drop it.
the monthly pivot right here, which is where this big red candle dropped off, 55.72, and then you can see that dip down to 55.37, which was value area high from the previous day. Was that wick right there?
That's why my charts are messy. I just like to see the
Yeah.
other time frame on my 5-minute chart so I can see exactly what's going on
Yeah.
or what might be going on.
Yeah, that's good. Um, that actually makes a strong pivot right there too, because you've got the central pivot, you've got value area high and VPOC. So losing that, um, that should have clued me in what was happening there.
That day I didn't decide to jump back in. I was thinking like not too sure about price action inside the central pivot range because other time frame players could just enter at any time. It could be a big short, it could be a big long. You don't know what could happen in between this monthly range.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just really wasn't able to push past it. You can see it kind of tried here, tried there, got rejected, and then this was something I was going over last night in the Axia course too, is this idea that these are actually uh, I'm blanking on the term. Help me out here, Nigel. Responsive and in initiative.
Initiative
Okay.
bias.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we've got initiative sellers right here, and then we have initiative buyers. And that was a combination that I didn't realize, that you could have initiative sellers that then get, taken over by initiative buyers, and that creates this V shape. And then right here, you've got responsive action in this consolidation again. Um, so it's a, pretty strong initiative reversal. Usually after a V, we go into a consolidation. That's exactly what happened right there. So you were wise not to get in there. I think I was wise to just cut my losses and bail, you know?
Something just looks suspect about it being in that range. I was like, I don't want to play in this range. All right.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's right above IB. And it's just not going anywhere, and it's stuck against this monthly central pivot, which is 55.70. So that's good to know for tomorrow, for Monday. I want to throw in one more video. Let's just see. Let's try this one. And I'm just going to scroll ahead, find an entry here. Okay, so it looks like I went short around 78.25. Let's move that forward. 78.50. And I'm targeting that high point on the session volume profile right there. Watching it to click out at like 3 ticks. Be nice if we could speed these up, huh? And then I'm
Yeah,
watching this low volume node right here. That would be like my last out. I think that's at 5 ticks. You can see there's a bunch of sellers above that.
with VLC Media Player, you can speed them up. It's kind of cool. I do that sometimes when I'm looking at review. I think it was Peter was talking about watching clips kind of in fast forward. You can sometimes see things more clearly.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Should do that more often. Yeah, there's a speed. Here we go. Let's move this to 2 times. This is just, I think, Media Player in Microsoft. I know there was something good on here I was trying to show you guys. So going long here, I think my target is that little low volume node for 4 ticks. You can see you've got 80 buyers. I think I did an ad. And you can see that there was just more buyers right there. And then that filled. So that was kind of, playing the high volume node to the next high volume node that formed. And this is where price really took off.
Yeah, it's getting some nice momentum.
Yeah. That was another one I just took 1 tick on.
I think one day I'm gonna try and trade like that, like really scalp, like four ticks and stuff. I've never done that before.
Yeah, it can be really good. Like if you could even just trade like 10 contracts for 1 tick, and I think you make like 125 on that. I'm just scrolling ahead. So this one I'd be targeting that little high volume node right there. If it breaks 83.25. And there it goes, right to it. And I brought my stop down just in case it bounced, but I could have held for that 81.50. And I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. My girl's waking up and we got the TV on. So I think we've hit a good amount of, what are we at now? Oh, we've done a whole hour. So that's probably a good stopping point. Thanks to everyone for joining. If you like this video, give us a like. You can find us at Premium FTS on X. And is there anything else you guys want to add?
Basically, looking forward to the next week of trade. Let's go.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, me too.
All right, well, cool.
Yeah, it's good. Good talking to you guys.
Yeah, good talking to you too. Have fun with your dad.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right. I'll talk to you guys. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, see you at the open.
All right, see you at the open. Bye.